We've been in the Far East today at Kathmandu. There's a bit of a theme going on here now, because the ditty I'm about to tell you blends the mystical, magical East with the blunt, industrial North. And I'm here today, sponsored by Classic Cottages.
Are you alright there, Debbie?
There was a jumble sale up at the Scout Hut, not last Sunday, but Sunday before. And our Walter knew he'd be first in the queue because he took a flask and camped at the door. He woke up next morning with a stiff neck, wet pants and backache. But he had to get back his belongings that his mum had given away by mistake. The brooms book didn't concern him, nor his clothes, nor the rest of the clutter. It were his old woolly mitts, all holy and split, that made him behave like a nutter. He paid 10 pence to get the mitts back. They thought he was soft in the head. Paying that for some raggy old mittens? But he'd have given 10 quid if they said. You see, the mitts had been knit by his grandma from an old Persian rug she'd unravelled. Nobody knew it was magic, but Grandpa had picked it up on his travels. Nobody knew of its powers. I missed a bit of it.
Nobody knew it was magic.
Nobody knew it was magic. He picked it up in some old bazaar. Go on, give me another one.
When nobody knew of its powers.
Hey?
When nothing in the world was certain.
It's bloody good, this, the prompter can't do it. Nobody knew its powers. He picked up in some old bazaar. While travelling the world with a circus, as a clown. Are you with me so far? Nobody knew it was magic. And Grandpa himself is long gone. And if he had, give it a go. He hadn't let on. But its powers had passed to the mittens. Have I missed another bit?
Yeah, you see to get...
You see, alright, here we go. You ready, Ron? You see, to get the carpet to work, you have to say, Alakazam! But if you weren't shown, you wouldn't have known. So it lay on the floor at his grand's. Its powers had passed to the mittens, but still no one knew what was what. Till one day last March, young Walter put the mitts on to go to the shop. Because you see, Walter was an apprentice at garage, in the back lane behind the quad. And in keeping with motor trade traditions, at dinner times got sent to the shop. Now one day the list got blown from his hand, but all the blokes still got fed. Because he had a right good memory, did Walter. He could recite it off top of his head. Because Ray had cheese and Duffy had egg. And it was bacon and brown sauce for Jimmy. Billy has spam and Alakazam! It said the magic word. Are you with me?
Next one.
Yes, Alakazam is the mystical word. Yet Walter was quite overcome. Because a voice said, "You are my master." And it seemed to come from a hole in the thumb. Magic mitten, at your command. Say where you'd like me to fly. Cut final next May, said Walter being daft. Thumb said, I'll give it a try. They soared away through time and space, landed at Wembley next May. I won't say who won, because it spoils all the fun, but he cheered when his team saved the day. After the match, they landed intact back at the garage, where the lads stood round, saying, where have you been for us sarnies? And why are you 3 feet off the ground? So Walter told him the tale of the mittens, how he'd said magic word in shop. So what exactly did you say then, said Alec. I'm buggered if I know, I forgot. It'd likely be abracadabra, said Ray, who knew nought about out. So they spent rest at day suggesting, but they still didn't come up with out. The trip only took them 10 minutes, but that hand went off during flight. Poor Alec got food poisoning and had deja vu with that sarnie that night. But Walter still hopes as he goes for the grub that one day he'll get a repeat. But he's not likely to hear that magic word anymore because Alec's gone veggie. He's right off meat.